Hi, everybody. Welcome to Lunch with Dr. Nancy on Wednesday. I want to welcome everybody watching. Before we start our program today, I want to kind of talk to you about what's going on this week in the office. On Saturday, we have our very first clothing swap. So it's really going to be a fun morning. From 9 to 11, we've got women coming, sizes small to extra large, and some maternity clothes. And then from 11 to 1, we have children's clothes coming. So if you have some clothes that you want to get rid of and you want to get some new clothes for you, come on in for our clothing swap and look online on our Facebook page under events, and you'll see more information about it and where you can get tickets. We're limited on space, so if you could get your tickets ahead of time, we'd appreciate it. And we will do this again in the fall to get ready for winter. So very excited today about our topic. This is a very unique topic that I haven't really seen, and the way that Ehrica does her business is really unique. So I'm anxious to hear what she has to say today. So I want to introduce everybody to Ehrica Dorsey, and she's the Milestone Mom. So she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and what Milestone Mom does. Okay. Welcome, Ehrica.
Sure. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. Dr. Nancy, I'm so excited about this because this is what I do in my everyday life. And to be able to come on and kind of hit a more bigger, broader audience is just amazing because parents need this. So my name is Ehrica Dorsey and I blog at milestonemom.com. I began my journey in early intervention almost a decade ago. So I became a pediatric developmental therapist about 9 years ago, which early intervention, if some of you don't know, is birth to 3 years old. So that's the age group that I work with. I then went on, I stayed in early intervention, but I became a service coordinator. So I'm actually a service coordinator for early intervention, which is my full-time job. In my district, just to let you know, I'm in the Illinois area. So anything that I speak of today is based around Illinois. So I'm sure some states are a little bit different, but from what I understand, the program foundation is the same. So I became a service coordinator about 4 years ago. I cannot service the same area as a service coordinator and DT. So my full-time job is service coordinator, and then on the weekends or whenever they need me, I do go to a different Child and Family Connections office and do my developmental therapy work with families. So I am kind of twofold. I'm getting kind of back end of early intervention and then also the developmental therapy part. So I'm constantly in families' homes. I came to realize very quickly, and being in there for as long as I have, is development's one thing. So that's the foundation of Milestone Mom, is development. But there is so much emotional stuff that goes along with having a child with a disability or a prognosis. I mean, I go into families' homes and I call them basic speech delays, but I have to be very careful about that because what's basic for me is like huge for another parent. I see kiddos that have terminal illnesses all the way to basic speech delays. So let me back up a little bit because I'm getting a little ahead of myself because I love this and I could probably talk to you for 2 hours about it. So early intervention is a birth to 3 program. In the state of Illinois, we are natural environment. So that means that we come into families' homes. We feel like kids strive better when they're in their natural environment and in their home versus going to a group setting. So we are in homes. As a service coordinator, I'm the first mode of contact to parents. So let's say most of our referrals either come in from pediatrician, the health department, or usually NICU, like if there's a drug baby that was born, or if there's a child that was born with Down syndrome, we automatically get those referrals. So those are usually our 3 referral places. So once that comes into our office, I will get the referral based on the area that I service. I service probably 6 to 7 towns around my area right now. I will reach out to the families and schedule an intake meeting. So the intake meeting usually takes about 45 minutes. It's completed in the home, just going over a lot of questions, paperwork, and then we get evaluations scheduled from there. So we go over pregnancy history, development, and then just all the paperwork that we have to do. And then the evaluations come next. Usually that is scheduled within 1 to 2 weeks after the intake meeting. And that's based on the family's needs. So as a developmental therapist, we are expected to be at every single initial evaluation. you have to have a developmental therapist. And we also come in and do the annual meetings. So let's say I go into a home and the family has speech concerns. So for the evaluations, we'll have a developmental therapist come out and we'll have a speech therapist come out. And what that looks like is the two therapists come together. They bring magic bags of toys. They sit on the floor and they play with the child. I use something called the Prenatal Developmental Inventory Standardized Test, or BDI-2. So part of that standardized test, we have to see the child doing, but then the other part of that assessment is interview with the parents. So lots of questions for the parents, some stuff they haven't even thought of. They're being asked, and sometimes they feel like it's an overwhelming situation for the parents. And I just let them know, like, they're going to be getting the reports in the mail, everything that we did, the goals and stuff they'll be getting in the mail, which I think helps them a little bit. So it takes them about 45 minutes to do the evaluations. I come as a service coordinator after the 45 minutes and we have a meeting. The meeting usually takes about 15 minutes to a half hour. You'll hear the therapist talk about the month equivalent of the child and also the percentage delay of the child. So the parents are hearing all of that at the meeting. We'll know if they qualify for services, and then we'll write goals. Now those goals are good for about 6 months, because every 6 months we have a meeting. And then again, at that annual, we'll have all new reassessments. So that's early intervention in a nutshell. The developmental therapy standpoint of what I do is we look at 5 different areas of development. So we look at, I'm going to go ahead and break these down. So we look at adaptive skills. So these are how the child's eating, how are they sleeping, are they holding out their arms and legs to help assist with dressing. We look at communication. So I just want to go down my checklist here. So we look at communication. There's 2 areas that most of the time we look at, well, all the time we look at expressive language. So that's how the child is getting their wants and needs met. And then there's that receptive piece. So what they're understanding. Are they following simple directions? As the child gets older, we do throw a 3rd component in there, which is articulation. So if they're old enough, they do look at the sound errors that they're making just to kind of test them on that. So if a child maybe doesn't qualify, like their language is there, they're babbling and they're saying so many words, but they're just not understandable, we can qualify them based on the articulation piece of the test. And then we also look at fine motor and gross motor. Gross motor obviously is those big things, jumping and running, kicking a ball, throwing a ball. And then the fine motor is the small things, the picking up little pieces with the pincer grasp, the taking the knobbed puzzles and placing them in a form board. And then we have the cognitive piece, which is, I call those pre-academic skills, matching colors, dropping a cube in a bucket, just some of those pre-academic skills like the puzzle and stuff like that. And then we have the personal social. So this is personal social. So how are they interacting with kids of their age? And then how they're interacting with adults as well. So yeah, I feel like it is a lot to cover, and I have so much in my mind. Like I said, I could talk to you for 2 hours about this, but I know we need to, That's
all right. For the people watching, this sounds a lot like our first step program in Indiana.
Yes.
I think it's the same thing. It's an in-home type setting, and they do similar to what you're talking about. So.
Good. Yes. And that I do have a link that I think we could probably get in the comments here. It's cdc.gov. But if families do have any questions about where their early intervention program is, it will be on that specific link. So I guess they can go to cdc.gov early intervention, and it lists it by state. And I do want to be very clear. There's a huge misconception with parents. They think that the referral needs to come from a doctor, hospital, the WIC program, and that is so not true. Parents, you can refer your child to our program. So just go to that link, find your state, and it'll have a number there for you.
We did have a question. Just an aside before you go on, what age do you start seeing people for your virtual consultations?
I honestly, if it's within the range of birth to 3, it doesn't matter the age. I do want to make that clear though. I mean, if your child's 10 and you want to call and talk to me about development, I'd be happy to talk to you about development, and especially some of the things that I deal with my own 9-year-old daughter, because we are dealing with some things with her. But my specialty is birth to 3. So if you're within that range, feel free to sign up for the free consultation.
Yeah, which is something she's offering today, which is wonderful. And we'll have the link in the comments of how to get that eventually. But
Yeah,
I'll let
perfect.
you go on, Ehrica. You got good stuff to share. So.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So just to reiterate, I am giving away that 1 hour free consultation. I'd love to talk to any mom, to be honest with you, but my specialty is 0 to 3. So just keep that in mind when signing up. So I did want to show you, I'm going to go ahead and show you 5 simple and fun things that you can do with your child. I feel like some parents feel like they have to be in front of their child, like doing flashcards.
Yeah.
Flashcards. And it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, kids learn through play and by doing. And another thing I want to say before I go on with these manipulatives is development is so complex. Okay. And I really want parents to breathe. It's okay. You know, I do see several kids that are maybe late walkers who aren't talking yet. So I might get into a home where the child just started walking at 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it used to be back in the day, my oldest is 24, my youngest is 9, where you'd go into the pediatrician and if they weren't walking by 12 months, it was like, we've got to do something. And it's just not the case anymore. We feel like typical gross motor development with the walking is between 9 and 18 months. 18 months is obviously on that later side. But if you have a child that started walking at 18 months, they're probably going to be behind in their expressive language because they don't focus on 2 huge milestones at one time. So I just want to make that clear. I feel like parents are so hard on themselves. For an example, I went into a house not too long ago, very well-educated parents. We went through the process. The child qualified for speech. The therapist left. That's when I sit down and do my paperwork with the families and just kind of ask, are you okay with all of this? You know, is it kind of what you thought? And this mom just broke down and the husband was consoling her. And she's like, I really did not think he'd qualify for speech. Like this was huge for her. So I just want parents to kind of breathe and just not force development on their kids because there are some kids that are just always 3 months behind. They were 3 months behind rolling, crawling, walking, and that's just their child's development.
Right.
Okay, so some manipulatives that you can do with your child. And I just wanted to make these fun because, I mean, at that age, they really learn through play. So if you're sitting on the floor playing with them, what I'm going to show you today, some of these I call special activities. So you know how you have toys out for your kids, right? And they can just kind of go play with the toys, puzzle pieces end up everywhere, and things just don't stay together. I always like to have a defined workspace. It might be a blanket on the floor. It might be a little table for them. So they kind of know like, oh, this is like school time or work time. It doesn't matter the age. They just love doing that. So even maybe puzzles are put up. So puzzle time, you do it at the table. So these are some of the things that you might want to keep up or they're going to be lost all over the house. A strainer, okay? And pipe cleaners. Like this is perfect for fine motor skills. The only ones I had in my office were black ones, but you can get colored ones. So you can kind of work on color recognition and stuff like that. They sit here forever and work on these. They'll probably do all the pipe cleaners that you give them, but great idea. Fine motor skills and eye-hand coordination. So I just got these at the Dollar Tree. So we have a container with a lid. And then we have, I even got this from the Dollar Tree. Parents, I definitely recommend that you get this. It's tweezers. It helps with fine motor skills. And this is like a eye-hand coordination activity as well. So you just pick them up with the tweezers. And they have different size pom-poms. These I also got at the Dollar Tree. So if your child has a hard time, there's bigger ones here that you can put into the jar. Kids love doing this stuff. I mean, it's so simple. Okay, so if you're ready for colors, you can use a muffin tin or I love the Dollar Tree. So I just got this at the Dollar Tree. I don't know how many people have ice cube trays in their house anymore. Ours comes out of our fridge. But I got it for this specific purpose. When you're starting to work on colors with your kids, don't overwhelm them. If you notice here, I have a blue and a yellow, and all I did was cut out construction paper and tape it down. You don't want 6 colors in here when they're starting to learn. You might actually even just want to start with the blue, 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 so they can kind of repeat what you're saying and learn that color. But then you can go to maybe 2, and you can use these if you want, and they can start sorting the colors, or you can just have them put the different colors in there. Something that I don't have with me, which is a good idea. I don't know if you guys have seen those buttons, but they come in different colors and different shapes. So if you're ready to work with shapes, I would get a muffin tin, and you can put like a triangle in one of the sections and a circle in the other, and they can start sorting their shapes. I didn't have any of those today, or I would have showed you. And then a simple crayon. Okay, so when kids start drawing, they fist it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even really do fist rotation yet. It's more, if you've noticed, it's whole arm when they first start. And then they'll get to the wrist rotation and maybe putting all of their fingers on it, on the writing utensil. But if you feel like they're at an age where maybe we shouldn't be holding the crayon up here or still fisting it, break the crayon in half. And then they are forced to use more of their fingers instead of their whole hand. Okay, and then the last one, summer's coming up. I don't know about you guys, but we had a horrible winter in Illinois. We were one of the states that had like a negative 40-degree weather for 2 days, and we were actually off of school, and we've had tons of feet of snow. So summer's coming. I'm excited about that. You can get outside with your kids. Around the age of 16 to 18 months is when you can start experimenting with open cup drinking. And usually by around 24 months, they have mastered that. So I got these little Dixie cups I actually found these at Kroger in the food aisle, just, you know how they have the end caps. Aren't those so cute though? They're great for little hands. And then if your child is just learning to drink out of a cup, just fill it up a little bit. And they can drink these outside. And by the end of the summer, I'm sure your child will have open cup drinking mastered. That's the 5 manipulatives that I wanted to show you guys, activities.
Wonderful. I think that those are awesome. And I'm sure our moms could definitely come up with something like that at home to help their little ones for sure. When would somebody probably seek out some help from like your organization?
Well, that's a great question. So anytime, we have babies that come into our program that either have Down syndrome or they've had genetic testing and they already have some sort of diagnosis. Unfortunately, we do see drug babies that are withdrawing from methadone. So it doesn't matter the age. I will say the child will age out of our program the day before their 3rd birthday. So the earlier, the better. Mm-hmm. I know that's why I wanted to really let parents know that they can refer, because I know sometimes, and I'm not getting down on pediatricians at all because they are competent experts, but I have talked to families where they'll go in for a well check and they'll say, like, I just feel like there's something wrong with their language. Like, I feel like they should be saying more. And the doctor says, well, let's wait. Let's wait about 6 months. And then so I go into some of these homes where the child's 2.5 and they're like, I told the doctor 6 months or a year ago. And I'm like, you could have referred to our program, and they have no idea. So if you feel like, okay, so I always tell moms, especially, listen to your mama heart. Because if you think there's something wrong, then it needs to be checked out. I even have families that I call at intake and they're like, I feel like I'm wasting your time. Like, I just don't know. And I'm like, that's what we're here for. Let's see, if your child doesn't have a delay, that's what early intervention is for. We can get to him soon and hopefully not need an IEP when they get to school. If they do, that's okay, but we're still getting to them early. If they don't qualify, we just go about our way and you have peace of mind. Another part of our program is we do help with that transition process to the school system. So we have to have it completed between 27 and 33 months. We like to push for that 30-month mark just so we don't miss anything. The first step for us in Illinois is really just a meet and greet with the school system or district. So sitting down with that representative, kind of talking about what's been going on in our program with the child. They'll talk about the different programs that they offer. And then legally, the school system has to have a child ready to go for school-based services by the time they're 3. So that's why we start this process a little bit early. So after it's usually about a 15-20 minute meet and greet. I tell the families, just come with any questions that you have about busing. The programs will be discussed. And then after that, the school will call the families in for an assessment with the child and just kind of figure out what is best for them going forward with school.
So you see people, babies from 0 to 3. Let's talk about like a brand newborn. What would a mom be looking for that would trigger her to think, I might need a little help here?
To be honest with you, when we see a child that young, for the most part, unless obviously, I mean, I do have kids that are casted. They've got some gross motor. One leg was longer than the other. They had to have surgery. So stuff like that that's apparent is usually caught obviously after birth or by the doctor. But if we do come in, usually it's to do a reassessment. We never start ongoing. And usually it's not really so much for gross motor. It's more of maybe like a feeding concern, like not latching, and sometimes we'll find that the child has a lip or tongue tie. So it's not always gross motor. I'd say the biggest things for gross motor are like weakness in the neck or extreme stiffness in the body. We can see a child for that. But again, if it's warranted, we'll start ongoing. But for kiddos that young, we'll usually come back and do like a 3 to 6 month reassessment just so they can kind of develop a little bit more and see if they can kind of figure it out on their own.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I was curious about that. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you want to share with everybody before we sign off today?
Well, let me look at my notes.
Okay.
I wrote some stuff down. So I think, okay, so I'll leave with this, okay? If you want to sign up for information about Milestone Mom, like we're growing and we've got big plans coming up. Like I really want to create some sort of membership site or something to where moms can just come and vent with other moms. So that's in the making. So I really want you guys to go to milestonemom.com, and at the top of my page, you can sign up for email. That's the number one place that I communicate with you guys. And then also if you go to Milestone Mom, there's a Facebook link or icon that you can sign up, or you can go over to my Facebook page. Those are the two places that you'll really hear information from me and stuff that's going on. So this is what I'll leave you guys with. I think let's just be careful in blaming ourselves as moms. So many times when I'm in these homes, they're like, what did I do? What could I have done? Sometimes, unless you drank alcohol during or did drugs while you were pregnant, most of the time there's nothing that you could have done different. And I do talk to moms too, but my niche really falls in with moms. I get it, guys. Like I'm in your homes all the time. I see the frustration in between your marriage. Like dad doesn't think anything's wrong with the child, and mom's like, no, like there's something wrong. I see that with the marriages and moms being hard on themselves. And there's an emotional thing that goes along with disability. So let's talk autism. I haven't even addressed that today. Like that, it's becoming a crisis. Like it seems like all children have autism. And there are families homes that I go into, the mom is isolated. Like she doesn't go anywhere because of the behavioral concerns of her child. It's just kids that have sensory concerns that lay there for 2 hours at night because they just can't turn themselves off, or a 2-year-old who's still getting up 5-6 times a night. There's just things that I think don't always talk about. You might mention autism, but what really goes along with that, and how are these parents dealing with it? So yeah, I'm big on development, but I really want to own a piece of the internet that talks about the emotional side of this, because it's a real thing.
It is a real thing, and it's something I think we really don't think about a lot of. I recently went to a conference, and they had a mom of an autistic boy come in and talk to us, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was so eye-opening, because we don't think about the mom. We think, oh, what a great parent, you really got patience, but we really don't think about it. So yes, I think it's a wonderful option, to be able to have a place where moms can go to talk and just be real. So
yeah, and I agree. I mean, there's moms, I'm in some of these Facebook groups, who are at the point where their child is older, like 21 now, and they physically cannot pick them up. Like nursing care is expensive. So in their mind, they're contemplating a group home.
Yeah.
Because they just cannot get the needs met in the home. And it's devastating for these parents. Yeah. And I just feel for them. I do want to mention one thing. I went to a website the other day. It's actually a Facebook page. It's called, have you heard of Team, what is it? The B Team.
No.
Okay. It's fantastic. There's a documentary on that page called The Kids We Lose. And I recommend everybody watching this to go watch that. They did a fantastic job about kids in the school system And they did a great job by not pinpointing fault at parents, at the school, at professionals. It's really all encompassing of what a crisis this is. I mean, I've talked to parents who have actually pulled their kids out of school to homeschool because the school system just can't accommodate to some of their needs. And I don't know, like, I love the all inclusion thing that we do now, but teachers have so much stuff going on that I think that they weren't prepared to deal with. And that in and of itself is a crisis in an academic. So I really want you guys to go and watch that. You know, even in my daughter's school, we're in a fantastic school district, and she even had to deal with a classmate who would completely destroy the classroom. And so behavioral issues are exploding, and I don't know.
Well, they can go to your website, milestonemom.com, and get some support. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ehrica. And as a reminder, she is giving away one hour free virtual consultation. So I'm not sure how we're going to give that away, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, and if they just want to sign up at that link, that would be great. And then I can just kind of pick in.
Okay.
I'll do a random drawing to see who gets that.
Wonderful. And then if you find this information valuable, please share it. Please get the word out about the Milestone Mom. What she's doing is really wonderful. So like this video, share it, get it out there. So thank you, Ehrica, for coming. I really appreciate it. And it was really wonderful to meet you.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Nancy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.